Local presentation of Read About It is made possible in part by a grant from Cox Communications of Oklahoma City, proud sponsor of this effort to promote reading, education, and literacy in our community. The following public service program is brought to you by the Metropolitan Library System. And now, Read About It with your host, B.J. Williams.
We have a great show for you today, including a talk with Marcia Preston about her latest book, The Butterfly House. But first, Ruby Soutier and Julie Mock are going to talk to you about a great cookbook.
Hi, today we're here to talk about the Holly Clegg Trim and Terrific Cookbook. And one of the things that I really liked about this cookbook is the fact that most of the ingredients are easy to find. You can find them just in your local grocery store. And it has little tip boxes and little bits of information that's very helpful. One of the things that I actually tried to make out of this cookbook was a salsa recipe, which is very easy, and it's made with canned tomatoes, but because you add some other ingredients that are fresh, it makes it taste like it's made with fresh tomatoes. It's very good. Another thing that I made was a cranberry orange scones, and I believe you also made those.
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, that's what we have here on the table. They were really delicious, and my whole family enjoyed them. I had trouble saving some aside to bring here today. I also tried the honey pecan chicken, which was chicken marinated in honey and soy sauce, and then coated with crushed wheat checks and pecans, and that was really tender and delicious, and I got voted that yes, we could have that one again.
And do you bake that?
Yes, that's baked in the oven.
In the oven. There is another chicken recipe that I tried that is also baked in the oven, and it is called Chicken Cherry Jubilee. And just the title sounds so neat that it's partly why I wanted to try it. And you make it with cherries and with chili sauce and with an onion and of course with a chicken. And one of the things that I really liked about it was how moist it turned out.
Let's see. I don't know, Ruby. This chicken does not look very moist. It looks kind of rubbery to me. But in all seriousness, I tried it too, and we really enjoyed it.
It is a great recipe. You cook it in liquid in the oven for like about an hour and a half, and it truly is very, very moist. What did you like about this cookbook?
Well, there were a number of things I liked about the cookbook. It really was easy to use. And one of the things I liked about it is because it was the Trim and Terrific cookbook, it has nutritional information included with every recipe. It's got calories and carbohydrates and fat content as well as other nutritional information. So no matter what diet you might be on, you can use the recipes in this cookbook.
Now, one of the things that you may see as a downside that I like is the fact that it doesn't have a lot of illustrations.
Well, I really enjoyed this cookbook anyway, and you can find the Holly Clegg Trim and Terrific Cookbook at your library or local bookstore.
I know it is wet, and the sun is not sunny.
Hi, my name is Jose Jimenez of your Metropolitan Library Commission. You know, most experts tell us that if you just spend 20 minutes a day reading to your child, you're not only building a bond that lasts a lifetime, but you're also preparing that child to learn how to read. Check with the experts at your Metropolitan Library for suggestions on just the right books for you and your family. And visit us at our website at www.metrolibrary.org.
Well, I'm here now with Doug Benton, and Doug, I have a couple of wild books. Well, the books themselves, I don't think are particularly wild.
Okay.
No, not
that's
me.
more like
but they do range across a number of subjects.
Oh, okay.
The first one is John Dominic Crossan's latest book. He has been a best-selling author for 30 years. He is, and I'm going to have to read this, Professor Emeritus of DePaul University. And he's written this book with Jonathan Reed, who teaches New Testament and Christian origins at Laverne College in Laverne, California, and he's a leading authority on first century Palestinian archaeology. That's important because the book is called In Search of Paul, How Jesus' Apostle Opposed Rome's Empire with God's Kingdom, a new vision of Paul's words and world. And the really nice thing about this book is that Crossan and Reed visit a lot of the sites that were associated with Paul today, and they describe what it looks like today, and then Reed fills in on what it was like, gives you the background. So instead of just hearing Paul's word without any support to it, you understand the kind of world he was dealing with, and really get an idea of why the Romans were so cross about Christians and what they objected to. And Crossan presents an interesting interpretation of what Paul was actually trying to accomplish. He describes a world where there are a lot of Jews, and then there are a lot of pagans who, they aren't quite Jews, but they're not really pagans anymore. And they often participate in Sabbath services and so on, but they haven't made that last final step. Partly because you actually had to be circumcised to be a Jew if you were male, and that could actually be quite fatal if you were an adult. You know, it was, back then they didn't have antiseptic. They didn't understand, wash your hands and your instruments before you do this. And so a number of people were reluctant to go quite that far, but they were certainly intrigued with the idea of a creator God, a universal God. And Paul, in effect, homed in on them. He was talking to them. And I think it makes a lot of sense when you read Paul, he seems to be talking to people who know something about Judaism, something about monotheism, and yet he's not really trying to convince Jews to become Christians so much as these other people. I just have a brief moment to mention, I'm sorry, I've got to after that lead up.
Yeah, you have to.
HGTV does a TV show called Sensible Chic, where they take a real expensive room and then they show you how to reproduce the results for much less money.
No, that's why they've never visited my house.
Right. It's hopeless. But if you're interested in decorating, Sensible Chic is a good place to start.
Okay.
It's got some good ideas. And if you're interested in theology, check out any of Crossan's books. They're all very good. Coming up next, we have Kids Corner. Kelly Rhea is going to talk with Ronna Davis about a book for our young adults.
Hello and welcome. Today's book is called I Am Morgan Le Fay. Sounds rather dramatic, doesn't it? And it's by Nancy Springer, who's written several books. With us today is Ronna Davis, and she's going to tell us about I Am Morgan Le Fay. Hi, Ronna.
Hello, Kelly.
You brought this book, and I know that you enjoyed it. Can you tell me something about it?
It's the story, it is a story of Morgan Le Fay as reconstructed or imagined by Nancy Springer, who, as you mentioned, is a very prolific author of fantasy books for teens. And this Morgan Le Fay is presented as being a rather almost innocent character at the beginning of the book, but through a series of circumstances she becomes who she is known as, which is more like the wicked Morgan Le Fay. And
so she's presented almost as a teenager here.
She's presented as a teenager and even as a child. And what I liked about the book was the fact that all the characters were so fully realized, at least I thought they were. And the background was fully imagined, and the description was really detailed. You could see what was happening. It was almost cinematic to me. So that's the kind of fantasy that I enjoy, that's kind of rooted in a way in the real world without maybe being too far out there, because it's tied to characters that are believable. And this Morgan Le Fay is very believable. and so is the rest of her family, and Uther Pendragon, and all these other famous characters that teenagers have heard of if they know anything about the Camelot legend. It's kind of the other side of Camelot that's presented here. It's not the light and fluffy Camelot at all, but it's a very intriguing book.
So you set this for what age of?
I would set it anywhere between 12 and 15. Definitely, because I think they all can get something out of it that's appropriate to their ages. So I would just recommend it. I think it's a good book.
It sounds delicious.
Thank you.
It's called I Am Morgan Le Fay. It's by Nancy Springer, and we thank Ronna for being here today. Look for this book at your local bookstore or at your favorite library.
Thanks, Ronna and Kelly. And Doug and I are back again, and this time I'm going to let Doug talk.
All right. What am I going to talk about?
Well, you've got a book there.
Oh,
in
the
your
book.
lap.
Yeah, okay. This is a new spy story for people who like that kind of thing. It's called Good News, Bad News. It's by David Wollstonecraft, who created and wrote a British television series, which was called Spooks in England, and it's now running in America on the A&E network, and it's called MI5.
Oh, really?
So it's a spy story. This is his first novel, and it's really almost too clever. Sometimes you get the feeling that he's making fun of spy stories, and other times that he's trying to write one seriously. So there's a little bit of a problem with the tone in the book. It kind of bounces back and forth. But essentially it's about two men, a fellow who's on the wrong side of middle age named George, and the fellow he works with named Charlie, who's a much younger man. And they both work in one of these kind of instant photo development shops in London. Neither of them knows that the other is an agent for British intelligence. One of the themes in this book is that nobody really knows what's going on when you get to the upper reaches of the intelligence service. They both discover that they are both agents, that they've been working for the agency for many years. George gets his next assignment, which is to murder Charlie. Charlie gets his assignment, which is to murder George.
Oh, good.
And they have developed enough of a friendship and a trust relationship that neither one really wants to kill the other. So they decide to go on the lam until they can figure out why. Why they've both been assigned to the same place, and why they have to kill each other off. As I say, there are moments in the book that are really very funny. There's a scene where Charlie has gone to the hotel of a woman that he thinks is wooing George, and because he thinks maybe she's an agent who's working for somebody else. He goes to her room, someone tries to kill him, but George kills the assassin for him, and then Charlie picks up the assassin's gun and shoots and kills the woman. I mean, it is so confusing, with bullets flying all over the place at that point. It's hard to take seriously. It's almost like a scene from the Casino Royale, the Peter Sellers version of James Bond. But when he's writing at his tip top, the suspense is solid. I mean, I didn't have any problems getting through the book. There were just times that I wished that he would quit joking around so much and make up his mind. When you get to the end of the story and you see what happens to the two guys, then you realize that, yeah, it is really a serious discussion of loyalty and betrayal, as most spy stories are, when you get past the action of it. Anyway, I enjoyed it. I'm not sure that everybody would enjoy reading it. I think maybe if you like spy stories, give it a shot. Again, it's called Good News, Bad News, and it's by David Wollstonecraft.
Great. Thanks, Doug. Coming up next, we have M.J. Vandevenner, who is Director of Publications for the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum. She'll be talking with Arnold Hamilton, who is the Oklahoma City Bureau Chief for the Dallas Morning News.
Arnold, so nice to have you back on Read About It.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
This is a book about football, Friday Night Lights. I have to confess, I'm not a football fan. The last time I went to a football game, I took my typewriter, a little pink portable Royal typewriter and wrote a story about Lily Tomlin. That's what I know about football.
Well, I've seen a few folks like you in the stands over the course of time, but really this is more than a story about football. This is about a town, a remote West Texas town, Odessa, and its love affair with its football program that created a sense of football that placed it well beyond where it should have been placed in importance probably in the community.
All-consuming.
It became all-consuming. They built a huge stadium on the outskirts of town. 20,000 people would show up on Friday night. Games would be televised. The team would travel by jet charter to playoff games. And of course in Texas that may not be unusual given the size of the state, but it was vastly more important than anything else how you did on the football field.
Well, it sounds like a really fascinating book. David Halberstam said it's a remarkable book, fascinating from start to finish, full of surprises. What are some of the surprises?
Well, I think just how high school football itself could mean so much to the fabric of a community and its sense of self, really. Buzz Bissinger, the author, a Philadelphia Inquirer reporter at the time, spent a year in Odessa. Living there, getting to know the people there, was given remarkable access to the team and to the town. And it created quite a stir when this book came out because he really peeled the layers back on what made Odessa tick. And a lot of Odessans didn't like what they saw in the mirror, unfortunately. Of course, right after the book came out, he was lined up for a book signing ceremony there. The book signing ceremony was canceled because the owners of the bookstore couldn't guarantee his safety and security. There's still people who feel very hostily toward Buzz Bissinger at this point.
So he probably doesn't live there anymore.
No, he doesn't live there anymore. He's been back, and there are many people who are welcoming to him. But things have changed out there as well. The team is not as successful as it used to be. It's not as all-consuming in the town. And frankly, it's not as fashionable to be all-out mojo power, go Permian as it used to be.
And this has been made into a movie?
It has been made into a movie, and actually the people there like the movie a lot better than they liked the book. It had a more upbeat ending, not the same ending that the book had, which was Permian getting beat in the semifinals of the state playoffs.
Not a good ending.
Not a good ending, but they liked it a lot better. They saw the movie as something of a redemption for their town.
Well, thank you for sharing Friday Night Lights, and come back and be with us again.
I'll be happy to.
Thank you.
Thanks, MJ and Arnold. With me now is Marcia Preston. She is author of award-winning books. She won the 2004 Oklahoma Book Award and the 2004 Mary Higgins Clark Award for suspense fiction. And you also have a day job, don't you? You're editor of Byline
Yes,
magazine.
I still have a day job. I produce a monthly magazine for aspiring writers.
Which I get every month, and it's got some really neat stuff in it.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
Look at it to kind of keep up with what's going on in the world of literature. But you are here to talk about your most recent book, which is called The Butterfly House, which is actually just coming out now, isn't it?
Yes, it's released in January this year.
So everybody will be able to find it on the bookshelves at their favorite bookstore. It'll take a few weeks to get it into the library, but it will be there.
Good.
So, now this is a departure from your suspense fiction in a way. There's lots of suspense in this book.
That seems to be a matter of opinion. One reviewer said the only departure was that it was not the same characters, not the series characters that I was writing about before. But that it still fit into the suspense genre, and some people disagree. It's classed as a general novel, but yes, there is quite a little suspense in it. I guess I can't get over writing suspense.
Well, your main character is someone who doesn't want to deal with her past, and that is really what's creating most of the suspense, is her struggle to run away from herself, really.
Yes, it's the story of two mothers and two daughters, really, and basically the things that we do to each other in the name of love. The relationships growing up. The narrator character, the main character, comes from a broken home, and then a mother who has become alcoholic. And so she has that to deal with, and finds comfort and friendship and love in the home of her best friend and her mother. It's also a fatherless home, but the mother of her best friend, whose name is Lenora, does research on butterflies. And she has this wonderful illuminated sun porch that overlooks the Columbia River, and it's filled with butterflies that she leaves loose in the house. And that really, that idea, that image was the origination for the idea for the book.
I am fascinated with the way authors can take something like somebody lets butterflies loose in their house and create something as detailed and has as much depth as the butterfly house does.
Well, this took about 5 years to do it. Actually, the book started in my head as a sentence about Lenora kept butterflies in the house. And then the actual sentence as it went in the book was Cynthia Jane's mother kept butterflies in the house. And from that sentence, the whole story grew, but it did take a long time. I think slowly.
Well, now you alternate between time periods, which I found quite interesting. Did you find that difficult as a writer to write, this is the 1990s and then go back to the 1970s, or?
It was hard, not in the planning of it in my mind, but it was difficult to make the transition smoothly enough that the reader wouldn't get confused, and I spent a great deal of time worrying about that. One device that I used was the current story that's in the 90s is told in present tense, and then when I switched to the past, when she was growing up, I switched to past tense, and this also helps, I think, the reader keep track of what time period they're in. But the main character, the narrator, is always the same. It's written in first person, so even the present and the past both is told in the voice of Bobby Lee.
And she is, I found a very interesting character. She at first seems to be under this cloud that I was almost a little, you know, what are you complaining about? You're married, what's your problem, lady? But obviously, as you find out when you have friends and you think, oh, you know, their life is doing wonderful, you find out, well, there are a lot of things that have gone wrong in their lives that they've had to deal with one way or another.
And still haven't dealt with, and that's the case with Bobby Lee. There are things from her past, secrets that were kept that need to be out, and she can't, she's been through an emotional breakdown and hasn't really recovered from that.
Well, and part of that problem, interestingly enough, I thought came from a secret that perhaps should have been kept, but one that was let out that precipitated all these other things that then became secrets that were kept as well.
Family secrets is a big part of the storyline of the book.
And now you set it in the northwest part of the country. Did you have to force yourself to go up there and
several
check it out?
times? I love that area of the country. My husband and I have traveled up there quite a little bit, and we're drawn to it. And so the Columbia River fascinated me. When I saw that, you know, I'm used to Oklahoma rivers, which is really a whole different thing from the Columbia. And it's so beautiful, so wide, so mysterious. It seems so still and silent on the top, and yet runs so swiftly underneath. And that river, that whole area, interested me greatly. And so the house that's on the hill above the river where the butterflies live, that seemed like a great place to have it, was overlooking the Columbia River.
Well, and it was in one state, and yet Bobby Lee lived in another.
Because it's right on the line, and the Columbia River divides Oregon and Washington. So she has this sense of otherness, even from the beginning, even in her childhood home where she lives.
Well, in your description of the river itself looking so quiet and smooth, which is what you would think of Bobby Lee, even with her not quite recovered, she was very quiet and very smooth. There weren't any ripples going on, but there were obviously things really foaming.
But down beneath where the river gods live, things are turbulent. And as a matter of fact, she, as a child, talks to herself about the river gods and what's going on underneath the water. As a matter of fact, my original title for the book was The River Gods. And the publisher got into that and decided that the Butterfly House would be more appealing. I think they said there was another book called The River Gods, or that was part of the title.
Well, I thought that you did a wonderful job of conveying Bobby Lee's problems and her emotional reaction to them, and also the transition back and forth. I thought that was very smooth. And
good, thanks.
Just it really, I think, gave depth to the story rather than just Bobby Lee sitting there and remembering, well, I remember when. I thought it was much better to actually go back to that time. And
well, the past is so alive for her. She's, in effect, still living in that past because there are unresolved issues there.
well, and I think that going back as opposed to remembering, you get a more of a feel of truthfulness, of this is what actually happened, not what Bobby Lee remembered happening. And that lends, I think, a great deal more poignancy to the things that she has to deal with. And in the end, she does.
Yes, she does. I'm not a fan of unhappy endings, and even though novels can't always, you know, the cowboy doesn't ride off in the sunset and get the girl and the horse, but an up ending, something positive at the end.
Yeah, something was resolved.
Yes.
We're out of time, but I want to thank you very much, Marcia, for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
Marcia Preston has been telling us about the Butterfly House. You can find it at your library and your favorite bookstore.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of your Metropolitan Library System. You know, experts tell us it's never too early to begin reading to a child. If you spend just 20 minutes a day reading to a child, you're not only building a bond that lasts a lifetime, but you're helping that child to prepare to learn how to read. Visit us at the Metropolitan Library System and let us help you select just the right books for you and your family. And be sure and visit our website at www.metrolibrary.org.
I'm back with Doug again, and it's time for the Writer's Almanac, and we each have a date to share with you. Doug?
Yeah, mine is January 19th, 1809, the birth date of Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, well.
Since I reviewed a suspense book today, and Marcia writes suspense, that's the person that I chose. You know, I recently read a short essay about Poe that said that grown-ups are sometimes embarrassed to still be reading Poe, and I think that's true, but it doesn't have to be true. There's a lot of good stuff in Poe.
Well, and I'm not sure you've ever been embarrassed by reading Poe.
Absolutely not.
Well, my date is a little bit less literary, but on January the 20th, in the year of our Lord 1265, the first real English Parliament was called into session. And that is sort of the beginnings of our democracy.
Yeah.
It was a pretty significant date that almost nobody knows anything about.
No, I had no idea.
And you can check out about the English Parliament, Edgar Allan Poe, and almost anything else at your library by going to our website, www.metrolibrary.org. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again next time.